You probably aren't familiar with this shoe, but to me, this shoe is the most important pair in my closet. It's my pointe shoe. But this shoe is more than just a pointe shoe. It's a skill, a dance form, and a lifestyle. And trust me, this shoe requires a lot of hard work. Today, I'm here to teach you how to dance on pointe, starting with how to correctly lace up your shoes, then sliding into technique, and finally, dancing into the benefits of how to correctly dance on pointe. But before we can correctly dance on pointe, we first have to find the perfect pair of shoes. For my dance studio, this means a Sunday road trip to Des Moines to Mark's Dancewear. Here we will be sure to find the perfect pair once we have tried on at least 20 of them. According to WeDanceMainStage.com, the perfect pointe shoe should fit like a glove and not be too wide or too narrow. A shoe must fit perfectly in order to prevent moving or stickling while on pointe. Remember, finding the perfect pair of pointe shoes is the most important step in the process. But obviously, you aren't expected to dance on a block of wood without any padding. Everyone prefers a different type of padding, the most common being gel toe pads like mine, according to danceadvantage.net. Older traditional views use lamb's wool, and I also use toe caps, which go over your big toe, after sensitivity occurred in my first pair of pointe shoes. But once you find the perfect combo of padding and your pointe shoe, you must also be able to correctly stand on your pointe shoes and correctly put them on. The first thing you must do when you put on your pointe shoe is you have to put on your toe pads and padding, which for me it means I have to put on my toe caps and then my toe pads. The most traditional way to do this is to put, there's a certain kind of, they're called transition tights. They have a hole in the bottom so you can put your toe caps and your toe pads on, and then you put your tights over them. So from here, you put on your shoe, but you have to make sure that when you set on your shoe, you're doing it at a 90-degree angle and that your ribbons are pulled out to the sides. From here, tying your shoes is kind of difficult the first time, but afterwards it's really simple. You have to make sure your ribbons are pulled out, and then you cross them over your foot, like shown in this picture here. Everybody kind of, it depends on your level of dancing. A lot of newer dancers will put an elastic over your shoe like you would see on a typical ballet shoe, and then you'd slide your foot into that so that you have extra ankle support. But what we do at my studio, you cross them over your foot and bring them around to this elastic here, and then you will cross them around and bring them back to the front of your ankle, which is really important and you bring them back around to your heel. And it's really important that you tie them really, really tight because you have to have a ton of ankle support with your pointe shoes. So it's always important that you make sure you wrap them really tight. And then when you tie them, the traditional way is to tuck your extra ribbons in the rest of your shoe so that you can't see the bulging bow at the back. And now that you have your pointe shoes on, you're ready to go into technique, which brings me to my second point. There's a lot of technique that comes with dancing on pointe, but don't worry, I'm just here to teach you the basics, starting with correct stance. The most important things to remember are 1, turn out, 2, rise up, and 3, get on your box all the way. Now I know none of this probably makes any sense to you, so I'm here to simplify. Turning out requires you to rotate your hips outwards and turn your legs away from themselves. Rising up is when you rise through your plie, which basically means that you let your heels guide you onto your toes instead of jumping on your box, as shown in this picture here. The box is the end of your shoe. Shown in this next picture, your correct stance is so that your box is perpendicular to the floor, which means that your toes are pointed all the way and you're putting all your weight on your big toe. It also means that you're rising all the way through that plie so that you're correctly standing on your box. But now that you know how to stand, there's a lot more technique that goes into ballet, including the ballet positions, which are first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. But you also need to know how to bourrée. This is first, this is second, third, fourth, and finally fifth. Bourréing basically is gliding across the floor gracefully. It's the main step and point where you move. It requires you to not only move across, but you have to remember to maintain your turnout throughout, like I talked about earlier, which helps prevent injury of your knees and your ankles specifically. But I bet you're wondering how this is all beneficial to you, which brings us to the last point, benefits. The main reason why you should correctly learn how to dance on pointe is to avoid injury. According to LER magazine, the greatest injuries in pointe involve the ankle and the knee. I specifically know what it's like to correctly dance on pointe, because when I first started, I had the wrong shoe, which is very important because it caused me to have a lot of pain and bruising, which still happens sometimes because that's how it is. But I've learned specifically that your perfect shoe and combination of padding and technique is very important on pointe. Proper technique is especially important because if you don't do it right, you'll break in your shoes wrong. And if you break in your shoes wrong, that's what happens, and a lot of pain happens. And that's happened to quite a few girls at my studio. It's very important that you rise up through that plie, that you maintain your turnout to break in your shoes right. And for those of you who have never danced on pointe but thinks dancing looks so easily, the benefits of listening in my speech is you know the difficulties of dancing on pointe and how it's not just easy and you can't just glide across the floor like you think you can. Now when I show you this shoe, I hope you remember everything involved with it. The lifestyle, the skill, and the dance form. And for those of you who want to try pointe, I hope you remember how to lace up your shoes, slide into technique, and dance into the benefits of listening in on my speech. I hope you also put in the hard work to make pointe your favorite pastime and lifestyle. Now, the next time someone goes to tell you that dancing on pointe is easy, I hope you remember the dedication each dancer puts into each pair of their shoes. Thank you.
Yeah, we're out.